Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another Facebook Live. We're back with our regular scheduled Tuesday Facebook Live career coaching. We're really excited to be joined by our guest, Vicki Burling, with the Northern Kentucky Building Industry Association. And we're going to talk about Women in Construction Week. So we're really excited about it. Vicki, thank you so much for taking time to join us. We're going to give everybody about a minute to join the broadcast here. Be sure that if you're watching out there with us, you let us know that you can hear and see us in the comments. And Vicki, thank you so much for taking time to join us today. We're excited to have you here.
Oh yeah, well it's a pleasure, and I'm happy to talk about construction in general, but certainly also specifically about women.
Yeah. So we're excited, and I know we've got some exciting events coming up. So we'll get started. We'll give everybody about 45 seconds to a minute to join. We've got some people joining now. Again, if you're watching, be sure that you can let us know in the comments that you can hear and see us. That's a pretty important part of this. So it's not just pictures of myself and Vicki, that you can actually hear what we're saying. So, and it does, go ahead and throw them in. There is a delay. As normal, if you're joining us, it takes about 30 seconds for that to show up once you comment, and then we'll get started, Vicki. So, City Futures, thanks for watching, and we're glad that you're here, and we're really excited about the program, and I know that there are tons of participants at City Futures who'd be able to benefit from this, so we are really excited. So, Vicki, I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into it if you're okay with it.
For sure.
So if you can, Vicki, just take a moment, introduce yourself to us, and tell us about your role at the Building Industry Association of Northern Kentucky and the Ensweiler Building Institute.
I will. Thank you. So I'm Vicki Burling. I have been at the Building Industry Association for about 2.5 years. You might think of us as the Home Builders Association. We are part of the National Association of Home Builders. And we've been in existence in Northern Kentucky since the 1950s. But in 1967, our association formed a trade school. And really, we grew out of the need for more apprentices in the construction industry. At that time, a lot of the builders in Northern Kentucky had come here from Germany, and they were used to there being an apprentice model in the education system. And of course, we have not operated under that model for quite some time in America. So they took it upon themselves. So I would say we're one of the best kept secrets. We are actually a year older than NKY, and we have continually offered trades instruction since that time. We operate under the name of the Ensweiler Building Institute. That is named for a man. His name is Mike Ensweiler. He is a living legend, and did my job many years ago and sort of put us on the map as a true option. So we provide training in 8 skilled trades. I'm just going to tell you what they are. They're carpentry, diesel mechanics for heavy equipment. That'll be a new program this coming fall. We're really excited about that.
That's very exciting.
Electric, facilities maintenance, heating and air conditioning technologies, masonry, plumbing, and welding. It's a nighttime school. So we have purposed ourselves to be set up on a model that's an apprenticeship model. So it allows students to work during the day, preferably in their field, and then at night they go to school. And that's really how the two things can work together. So you're doing the work during the day, and at night you come to school and you understand, like, what was I doing and how does that relate to the big picture? So we sort of put the pinnings underneath the hands-on work that they're doing, but also for several of our professions, they're license based. So we really are working hard to get them ready to take the license. It's a lot of fun. Garrett, as you know, I worked in higher ed for a long time. I worked at Northern back when he was a wee child and enrolled at Northern. That was great preparation for this work, but I'm really excited to be doing this at this time because I feel like we need more people to understand that there are lots of avenues to a great future. And some of them are more work-based and maybe college at a later date in your life.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I had no idea that the Ensweiler Building Institute was older than NKY. That's
I know, isn't that crazy?
Total shock to me. Yeah. And I think you bring up a really great point, Vicki, when you talk about that apprentice training, because there's a large need for skilled labor, and we're well aware of that in workforce development, that most of our skilled labor workforce is nearing retirement, and there's going to be a huge need for skilled labor. And it's a great way to earn a really, really great living in an in-demand career field that's going to provide you stability and tons of opportunities. So I think it's great that we have that close by. I'm still shocked that it's older than NKY. So that's going to lead us into our next question. I know we're talking, the great things that the Building Association does and the Ensweiler Building Institute and the skilled training, but this week is Women in Construction Week. So Vicki, can you just tell us a little bit about what is Women in Construction Week?
Yes. So it's been deemed that by the National Association of Women in Construction. So, a trade organization that really encourages women to enter the field and then excel in the field. And really, it's dedicated to the reality that only 10% of the workforce in construction is female. 10%. So if you look at another field, let's say, maybe professional skills or something like that, it's pretty 50-50. Maybe 48% of the workforce is going to be female. Well, we're 10% in our industry. And if you strip that down a little bit further and you look at the women who actually are in the skilled labor positions, in other words, they're out there doing the work, it's like 2.5%. So traditionally, women have not really considered these professions, and we need them to, for a couple of reasons. One is because they are great opportunities for a great career, but because we need more people to work in the skilled trades. And so our industry is really almost at a crisis level where getting people who are capable and competent to work on these exciting jobs, they don't exist. As you mentioned, the average age of someone who works in the industry is well past the average. The last number I saw in Kentucky was the average age of a construction worker was 48.2. So 48 years, over 48.
Yeah.
If you look at people who own their own businesses, which that's a very common thing to happen in this industry, that people go on and own their own company, the average age is in the 50s. So there's going to be a glut where they're exiting, and we need to make sure people are entering on the other side.
Yeah. And I think it's great. And we'll talk more about the Ensweiler Building Institute and kind of the roles there. But I love to when we talk about skilled trades, is that piece that you can really become your own boss. There's a real avenue and a real opportunity to own your own business one day with one of these, whether it's HVAC or construction or diesel mechanics, and it's going to provide you that opportunity. So I think that's amazing. So, and there is a need.
Yeah, and there certainly are incentives. I'm not really here to talk about those today, but there are incentives for women who own their own companies. So there's some help out there because that's another thing that we really want to have happen. But it's definitely sort of, I think, a tradition in Northern Kentucky that there are lots of family-owned businesses, and many times the female of the household is part of that female-owned business. So I think it's exciting, and we just need young women to think of it early rather than after the fact, after maybe they've pursued something else and haven't been particularly excited about it. Let's get going right from the start and pick these, work in the field. You're going to get so much respect if you work in the field before you come in to the office and then take the company to a different level.
I think that makes perfect sense. So that does kind of lead us into our next question, Vicki, is what are the types of opportunities that are available for women in Northern Kentucky in terms of skilled trade positions?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're exactly the same as exists for men. So, I mean, as I said, that we know that we don't have enough skilled workers in construction. It's funny because, of course, I have companies that call me all the time, and they're looking for people. When I came a couple of years ago, they were starting off by saying, do you have anybody who's about ready to graduate? Because, they wanted to hire somebody who already was, competent. Usually by the time they graduate, my people are already in jobs. So the answer was no. But the true answer is I got people who are just entering the field. And that's really where we need to get them hooked up with employers so that they're getting that hands-on, so that they're seeing all the things that go on, in the construction field, not just their little piece of it, but the full gamut. And I think that's really what can excite people. As I said, only 2.5% of the people who work in the field, so they're not in the office, they're not in support roles, they're actually in the skilled trades. Only 2.5% of them are female. And females bring a different perspective. And I think we all know that kind of academically, but it's actually, I'm hearing it more and more when I'm talking to employers. For instance, we've got a couple of young ladies in our program right now. I'm thinking of one that's in the heating and air conditioning program and another that's in plumbing. Both of those are licensed trades. So ultimately, those ladies have to get a license to be, respected and to move up in those fields. But what their employers are saying is it is so great to have a female because a lot of what they're doing is in the residential service side. And so if you think about it, they're women going into the homes of probably a woman who is there when they need service. And so there's a comfort level that comes from a female to a female in a home situation, but also there's a different level of communication. I think we all know us women are a little bit better at communicating sometimes than men. So I hear that from the service side, that there's a great need for women in that regard. What I hear on the other side, so I've got a couple other women, one's in, I'm thinking of one in carpentry and one in welding, and they bring a creativity to those fields that maybe is a little bit more unique, and an ability to focus that my instructors are able to notice right away, that the women tend to maybe catch on a little bit faster. So there's a different perspective. I mean, we are, just enough different that having us on the job site can add that dimension that may be missing otherwise.
I think that's amazing in the training, and I would have never thought, and it does make sense more of, if a lot of times if, an HVAC repairman comes to my house, I'm not home. It's typically my wife that's home. And to have that, that different dynamic is definitely an interesting piece to that service. Yeah.
So the HVAC student, I have to tell you, she's getting her own truck tomorrow. So she's about to finish. She was in our 1-year HVAC program. They're all super amazing, but she's especially super amazing. And she's so excited. And it's a brand new truck. So she'll be the first person to drive that truck on the job. And she couldn't be more excited.
That's really neat. That's so neat to hear those stories and to hear how just the impact that can have. And so speaking of Ensweiler Building Institute, really kind of what role does the Building Industry Association Northern Kentucky and the Ensweiler Building Institute play in bringing awareness about the opportunities in construction or trade for women in the area?
Yeah. So, I think more and more, particularly, in the last few years, have understood that we have an important role to play. So we do have a high school program. Right now it's with the Boone County District and the Ludlow school districts. And so they have kids who are in high school that are here, and they're sort of doing we call it an intro to the trade. So a little smattering of everything. Okay. It's kind of heavily rooted in carpentry because, the beginning skills in the construction industry are carpentry related. But we want people to, when they're 15, 16, 17, literally get their hands dirty. And try it out, figure out, is this something that makes my heart sing, or is this something that I thought I would like it and I really don't, rather than trying it, years later. We also work with the Navigo scholars. I'm sure your viewers are probably aware of Navigo and the work that they do. We have a construction related group of young people that have been accepted. We start them as early as the 9th grade, where they're just exploring, so a couple times a month they're either on a job site or they're here talking with our instructors, or they're working with a counselor to sort of think through, like, what are the ways that I could parlay my interest into something that would be a sustainable career for me. So we're getting involved in all those things. Of course, our school has always been a nighttime post-secondary. That's the sort of the main heart of what Ensweiler is, a post-secondary opportunity. You don't have to come right when you're 18. A lot of the people who are in our programs maybe did try something else for a couple of years to figure out that, that's not, I'm going nowhere. And it takes a little while sometimes to figure yourself out. And we're happy to have people who are maybe even re-careering. I mean, that's a kind of a common thing for us as well. So, our job is to get more people who are ready to take on the jobs that are here in the construction industry.
I really like what you said about that, figuring that out early. And it makes me think of our youth program that we have with Brighton Center at the Kentucky Career Center that really focuses on 16 to 24-year-old opportunity youth. That would be a good fit to get in and learn a trade. Carpentry goes a long way, just that basic knowledge of carpentry to learn that trade. I think that's good information. So I've got two more questions. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out to anybody that's watching live. If you have a question, put it in the chat because there is a delay. It takes about 30 seconds to a minute for us to actually see it. So myself or Vicki will be able to get to your questions at the question and answer section. Or if you're watching this later, obviously you may not be able to join us live at 1 o'clock. Go ahead and throw it in the comments and we'll get that answer for you because we do monitor the comments after the fact. So this is a neat question that I thought, Vicki, is just kind of what advice would you give to women who are looking for employment or training opportunities within skilled trades?
Well, I think it is important to talk to other women who are taking that journey. And that's one reason we're doing the open house this Saturday. So it'll start at 9 with registration. We'll get going around 9:20 or something with my students who are female are going to do a panel. But we have some professionals who are with the Al Nair corporation who are also going to share their stories of how they got into the field, and they're going to share the good and the bad. What are the things you need to be prepared for? You may know that Al Nair has a female president and CEO, so certainly there are aspirational kind of stories there. She won't be the one who will be here, but others who represent that company. So I think shadowing is always a great idea. Try it out. Again, like with the Navigo group where we've got young ladies who are right next, arm to arm with the guys on the job sites. And, we can only introduce them so deeply into it, but you gotta try it to figure out if it's something that really is going to work for you.
Get your feet wet and see if it fits and move forward from there. So I think that's great. I do know that just kind of pose this question. So I know that we have an event upcoming. We kind of touched on it briefly, but do you want to take some time to talk about the upcoming event that's taking place for Women in Construction Week? Yeah. So our piece of the week of Women in Construction is an open house. So it'll be here at the Answeiler Building Institute. We're just off of Mineola Pike, so we're easily accessible on 275. It's a Saturday morning event. We should be out of here by 11:15, so it won't be your full day by any means, but it would give you the opportunity to, see what these trades look like in terms of the schooling aspect of it. Meet these young ladies who are doing the work. I think, it's a pretty low risk thing. We envision a face-to-face event, but we know that there are people who need to stay remote. And so we do have a Zoom opportunity. So don't let that deter you from participating. And then from there, if they're interested, we can bring them back in and talk more deeply about the kinds of things that they're interested in. See if there's some employers they might want to talk to and what the next steps might be. Perfect. And you'll notice if you're watching live or you're watching this later, on the crawler across the bottom, we have information on the upcoming open house for Women in Construction Week to visit the Facebook page for the Northern Kentucky Builders Association. And I will put that link in the comments as well, so you can click that link easily, and there'll be the information there. So if you have a question, we've got 2 in there right now, Vicki, but if you're out there watching, you have a question, go ahead and throw it in so we can get to it. If not, we'll get to it at the end. But is there anything else that you'd like to share with this video?
Well, we are on the eligible training provider list for those who may be, eligible for some support from WIOA funding. We do have some limited scholarships, but we do have some. So I would like to talk. In fact, right now we have some scholarships sponsored by Al Nair for women and also minorities who are interested
Awesome.
in entering the field. They're not full scholarships because our format allows you to work full time. So we know students have some ability to pay, but we definitely understand that there's a need for support. So we're really excited about that. Keys money can come into play in our programs depending on which one you pick, if that's something that's important to people. And we have a really generous payment plan. So, and our tuition is really rather affordable. So when you put it all together, money shouldn't be the reason you don't consider continuing to grow in the trades.
And I really think that if you're out there and you're watching today and you think, I want to learn a trade, I want that skilled trade, I want something that's going to provide a self-sufficient wage for, to support my family. There's plenty of opportunities. There's scholarships, as Vicki mentioned. There's WIOA that you could potentially be eligible for WIOA funding. Come talk to us at the Kentucky Career Center. You might have Keys money and the ability to work on that and do a payment plan to where you can really set yourself up for success. That's a big need. And you've heard myself and Vicki say, if there's going to be job security, it's going to be needed. There's big job security. So if we've got a couple of questions, we got two in a statement. So I'll go first. I'll pull up Adam here. So Adam Schoaf says, log in just a few minutes late. No worries, Adam. It's okay. Did you say you have apprenticeship in the trades you mentioned? If so, how long do those last? Was the pay? If you just want to touch on that again briefly, and the pay might be hard, but just the trades, how long they last.
Okay. So our programs, depending on which program, they vary in length. Some of them are 1 year, most are 2. And there is an electric is 4, and we're a part-time program. So you're only here 2 nights a week. Okay. When you're in your academic program. We're an apprenticeship model, so I don't find you a job per se, but I do make introductions to employers, and I do hear from them literally on a weekly basis. I'm not exaggerating about that. Some of the programs have more demand than others. I get a lot of requests for electric students. I get a lot of requests for carpentry students. And then I get a more smattering for some of the other programs. The pay, can vary. I mean, most of our firms pay a very competitive wage, and it would depend on the size of the organization. Usually there's some really small family-owned companies that are on the smaller side, the softer side of the scale, but they're great places to work. So there's that trade-off. But if you're interested, Adam, maybe you and I should talk offline, and I can learn a little bit more about what trade you're interested in and give you a more concrete answer. Yeah.
So I'd say Adam works with us at the Kentucky Career Center. So he's probably has some customers in mind that he's working with that are interested. So definitely, Adam, send them to the open house, have them reach out. Either way would probably be okay, right, Vicki?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect. And then Donna, who also works with us, so probably information to take back. Are there any specific eligibility requirements for participating in the program aside from it being geared towards females specifically? And I probably should have done, that's my fault. The Ensweiler Institute is open to anybody. The Women in Construction Week piece that we're highlighting is just the piece to highlight the opportunities and that for women that exist in the trade fields. But I took the question down. I'm sorry. That way you can see the question. Are there any, eligibility requirements for participating in the program?
So our nighttime school, you do have to be a high school graduate. Okay. Sometimes we do have people who are working towards their GED when they first enroll, and that's fine. You do have to have completed the GED before we can award the graduation certificate. But we don't need a standardized test. Honestly, we don't find that they tell us much about your ability to be successful in the trades. So high school graduate is really the main one.
Main one. Perfect. Excellent. So, and then we'll go to the statement, and you guys might recognize this name because he was a previous guest, Mr. Rob Clark, just showing some love to Ensweiler Building Institute. So Rob is with our Trades of Success program. You can go back 6 or 7 of my Facebook Lives and find Rob and what we talked about in their Trade to Success program. But really, just wanted to say, really like the Insweiler Building Institute. Great place to get the training needed for a great trade career. So, and Rob knows that because he works in that. And I'm sure you work with Rob as well.
We do. With the Trades for Success crew comes up here during their 3 weeks. So we're excited to be part of that.
Perfect. So, Vicki, those are all the questions that I have. So if you're watching later, we understand you might not be available. You might be working and you're watching this later tonight, or a friend shares it, or you see it on somebody's wall or our wall. Know that the opportunity is there. And as Vicki stated, this is an evening program that you can go to part-time so you can work and potentially attend this training program. Be sure, if you're interested, to join the open house. That'll be a really fun event. So hopefully we get you a good turnout for that. You get a good number. And Vicki, unless you have any other questions or anything you think that I missed, I think that'll wrap us up for today.
No, you did a great job. I appreciate the opportunity to talk more about what we've got going on over here. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your busy day. I know that you guys are busy, so we appreciate it. We appreciate all the work that you do to help the workforce here in Northern Kentucky. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate you coming on today, Vicki.
All right. Have a good one.
All right, everybody have a good day. I'll be back next Tuesday, 1 o'clock. And don't forget to join us on Thursdays for Haley Franklin's Facebook Live Employer Spotlight. So everybody have a great day. Again, thanks, Vicki, for joining us. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.